Alright, let's get started. Thanks for having me, guys. I've met all of you now, but just to start again, my name's Bernie McInerney. I work for Sherwood Construction Solutions, and I'm here tonight to talk about an issue which you've probably all heard of in the news over the past few years, and that's the combustible cladding, particularly the Grenfell fire in London, and a bit closer to home, the fire at the Docklands complex in 2016, where everyone was evacuated. Fortunately, no one died in that one. But the Grenfell fire is one that we'll talk about tonight. I'm a construction manager. I've worked in construction since I was 16. I started off as a carpenter and I've slowly worked my way up, I suppose, through the ranks, you could say. And now I'm working with engineers and architects mainly, mainly to do with fixing old broken buildings, which is how I've come onto this cladding work. I also enjoy the cladding work because I'm dealing with real people and it's a real issue affecting lives, and much of my work is not like that. It's sort of, working for universities and councils where it's just improvements, but I see that as a waste of money. Personally, I love this cladding work because we're helping people. The past 3 years, I suppose I've worked closely with Red Fire engineers, and we've developed a good relationship where we understand the issues with cladding, in particularly Melbourne based. The problem is widespread over Australia, but we just want to focus on Melbourne and helping our city and getting things right here first, and hopefully if we can hand out what we learn to Australia or even internationally, that'd be great. I'd like to thank Barry tonight. Thanks, Barry, for coming. He's a specialist from Red Fire Engineers and he can answer anything technical that I can't answer. So you can ask Barry. If you want to jump in with questions through the talk, you can. Or if you want to wait to the end, Barry will stick around after. We'll have a cup and you can ask him a few questions. Thanks, Barry. You'll see the handouts on the kitchen table. That's all the statistics about what we're going to talk about tonight. Mainly, they're just the hard-hitting ones about deaths, money, and what you want to know, basically, how much it will cost to repair your residential apartment, and the inconvenience to you while that's happening. I suppose I need to make it clear, I'm not here to sell you, I'm not selling my services as such. I'm promoting what we do because I think we do a good job of it, but tonight's just an information night for you to get some proper facts about the issue and its effect on you. Obviously, Maria from the Owners Corporation, thanks Maria for having me. She has all my contact details and we do specialise in helping residents and Owners Corporation through these issues, but I don't expect anything from tonight other than to inform you guys about your situation. I mentioned the Docklands fire. For those of you that want to know a bit more about it, you can talk to Barry about this fire. And the cladding used on the Docklands building is actually the same as what's in your apartment. It's a bit scary because it's just down the road and it was a big fire, very dangerous, and a lot more could have gone wrong. Fortunately, the fire brigade were extremely good in that situation and no one was killed or injured. But the exact same material used on that building is on your building, and that's quite a concern and something that you as a committee need to discuss before you go back to the tenants. It's probably best we can meet again and again to work out how you want to convey the information to the rest of the owners and tenants in this complex, but ultimately it's up to you to decide how you want to proceed with repairing this cladding. It's a drawn out process, I understand that. And we've been doing it for 3 years and it's going to happen for the next 20 years. There's 117 buildings in Melbourne with this cladding issue. We've repaired 4 of them successfully. The first one was a lot of trial and error, the second one similar, and the last 2, the process is really streamlined. We're doing it cost effectively and as quick as we can without interfering with the tenants. The most popular question that we get asked is, do the tenants have to move out while the repairs are happening? And no, not the 4 occasions we've completed, no one's had to move out, which is which is one of the main things. You've got young families, you've got old couples. These complexes, there's people of all sorts, all walks of life living in them. And that's part of what we want to do, is not just come in, be a rough builder, do the job or the project management. It's a personal job, and we need to be aware of everyone's needs in the building and respect their wishes. And we've done a quick feasibility study on your building, and it will take 6 to 8 months to complete the works if and when you decide to go ahead, at a cost of $2.6 million. Now, I understand that's huge numbers for you guys. The owners corporations we work for normally have about 600,000 to $1 million in their fund, just from yearly contributions from the tenants. So this is a big step up and away from that. It's a risk. You can either live in this apartment and wait for something to happen, or you can be proactive, and we obviously push to be proactive. It's a cost. If something happens, you're going to be up for this money anyway. Why not do it first? And if you can raise the funds, I think it's the best option moving forward. I just want to recap. So we know about the fire, we know about this combustible cladding. It's the Victorian Building Authority have put a stop to it immediately. They're currently in the courts discussing this and who's responsible. A lot of builders, I think there's 17 builders have gone into liquidation since the first claims in Melbourne, which is atrocious really, because they can avoid accountability. Once they go into liquidation, they're not responsible for the building anymore, which is not fair, but it's just how the system is set up. So it leaves basically you guys and all the owners corporations to deal with the mess on your own. It's not fair, but that's how it is. Yes, Bill? No, there's currently no government funding available to help owners corporations with this issue. That is one of the items being discussed between the VBA at the moment, to look for funding, because ultimately it was the government's responsibility to have in place regulations to not allow this cladding to be used. They've failed, but they're not taking responsibility for that yet. It is in the court, so maybe it will come about, but in the meantime, we don't really have time to wait for those sort of issues. If owners corps can get funding from banks or partners, then it's probably the best way forward. This could be a drawn out process up to 5 years in the courts. Thanks for the question. All right, so that finishes up what I have to say. Is there any other questions? No, that's all right. Myself and Barry will stick around, and we can have an informal chat if you didn't want to ask questions in front of other people or whatever. I'll be around, so just approach myself or Barry. And I'd like to thank you all again for having me on a school night. Maria, thanks for inviting me to talk to the committee. You've got my contact details, so be in touch, and we'll hope to work with you guys in the future. Thank you.